Okay, so with the wing completely disassembled on its back, first thing we do is we remove the old hang block, and we remove these old fittings that were in the old hang block. And what we wind up doing, also we need to take off the cables from the down tubes, and what you get is something that looks like this. So here's where we've removed the cable, and here's where we've removed the part that used to go to the hang block. Now what we're going to do is, with a Sharpie marker and a measuring tape, is we're going to simply measure off 61 inches, like so. And we're going to make a cut here. We're going to make a straight cut with a miter saw, or that's the best way to do it. It's just a basic miter saw, a wood blade. If you go slowly, we'll go right through the aluminum and put a nice edge on it. Alright, so now we're going to take our down tube. We're going to place it in our chop box saw. We're going to line her up about like that, and now we've got a sharp corner here and roughness all around, and I'll show you how we take care of that. Go ahead. Alrighty, so when we're done cutting these, we're going to have 4 of these things here. And this is a pretty dull blade that I use, so it didn't put the prettiest cut in. And if you're not comfortable making these cuts, by all means either order a set of 61-inch down tubes, or you can send us yours, have them factory cut and finished and sent back to you. So the next step is fixing this edge, and we're going to use a grinder, and we're just going to touch it up, and we're going to radius this sharp corner here. That's how we're going to fix that up. So here we go. And if you take a close-up look at that now, that is not sharp any longer, and we'll deburr this with a deburring tool here and here, but the outside of it's nice, and we got a nice round edge on that. Alright, so come on over here, take a look, close look. So the inside of this is not something the grinder can get, so we use a reaming tool, and see how nicely that cleans up. And just work your way around, getting all of this burr off. And it's not too hard of a thing to do. So now we've got a nice finished edge, and we're missing a hole. And this may seem difficult, but this is actually much, much easier than you might think. What we're going to do is we're going to measure down 1 inch, and we're going to put a dot. And if you notice, that dot is right in this channel here. So that channel is going to center everything up for us. All we need to make sure of is that we get it 1 inch. And if this is a 1/16 of an inch or something off, it won't be the end of the world. All the parts will still fit, but you know, try to get it right on, because that could put a turn in the wing at worst case scenario. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to start with a 3/16 inch bit, and we're just going to drill one side, one hole, that's it. So we're going to center ourselves up nice. We're going to let this guide hold my bit. So you see I can move this around and it's not going anywhere. We're going to start. It looks like we got our mark, and then we'll go ahead and drill through. And once we're through, we'll switch over to the 1/4 inch bit. And we'll just open this up. And that's it. So we've just done the one side. So now we have our down tube fittings, and you'll notice that on the black part there are no holes in this, and that is for your benefit. That's going to make it a lot easier to install this piece properly. And then this piece here does have a hole in it. So let me show you how we use this. The first thing we're going to do is get any aluminum out of the down tube. Then we're going to slide this in. We're going to carefully place it. They may be a little bit tight, and what you can do is, you don't want to do it too hard, but just push down using the ground. And you can give it a couple little love taps here. And you just heard it seat. What you want to make sure of is that there's no gap between the shoulder and the tube now. And if you got no gap on both sides like this, you've got a nice square cut. So we're going to come back with our 1/4-inch drill. We're going to use this hole as a guide. And we're going to attempt to drill that straight. Now we're going to take our fitting. We're going to slide it in. It doesn't matter which way this fitting goes. It's the same forward as it is backwards. And what I'm looking for is the hole. I'm going to line up the hole as best I can, and without spinning the drill, put the drill back in, or spinning it a little bit, and I'll make sure I get all the way through the fitting so that the fitting is now a guide. And now I should be going right through plastic, and now through the other side of the aluminum, and we have a hole, comes out perfectly on the line. So all this keeps me square so that you don't need a drill press to do this procedure. Okay, so now we're going to take an AN bolt that came back out of the down tube from before. We're going to make sure that we go the same direction as the bolt at the bottom. We're going to slide it through, and we're going to put our nut on and snug it down. This does not get overly tight, just nice and snug, and this is a fully assembled down tube that's ready for the new CNC hang block now. Before we put on the new hang block, now that we have our down tubes ready, we need to get rid of this old trim ring here. So this is going to come off completely. I've gone ahead and I've removed the haul back latch, and I've removed the rear flying wire, so the back of the keel is all clear. And now what we need to do is take off this rear stop, and we need to take out the nose screws. So we're going to pull the nose screws out. And now we're going to pull the frame out of the sail, and most importantly, we're going to pull the keel out of the keel pocket. Alright, so we used to use a cutter, remove the zip tie, we'll put a new zip tie on there. And now we're going to run this zipper right off the tracks. That's okay, it'll go right back on. Kind of open this wing up a little bit. And now we're going to be able to pull the frame forward. Okay, so a couple of people usually helps, but basically we want to pull the frame forward. And sometimes something will kind of get caught. We got to figure out what's getting caught on the sail. And remember to undo this keel strap. You may want to mark where it's lapped over so you can get the same adjustment again. Otherwise, adjust it back to where the Velcro stops. But in any case, get that off of there. We'll make sure that your cables are clear. Now the cables are going to actually go off the back of this thing. And a lot of times the leading edges need a little bit of help. And this is where having a few extra people can help. Just going to pull the fabric back. Pull the fabric back. And now hopefully I can pull another few more inches, which should be enough to pull the frame partially out. And I just got it clear of the keel pocket. And that's what we're looking for. We want to take this off. Okay? So throw that on the table. And now we're going to slide the frame back in. So we're going to put the keel back in the keel pocket. We're going to start sliding it back in, just like that. Okay, so with the frame pushed all the way back through now, we go ahead and put our keel strap back around. And now we're going to bring this together. We need to start our zipper. Usually it takes 2 people to do this. You want to put the zipper on correctly, so it's the bigger end. Start one side like this, and one side like this. And now it takes a third hand, and maybe an extra hand, and get it started like this, and then you can zip it back, and then we'll put a zip tie through here. So we're going to reinstall our hang block stop, our aft trim limit. And now is definitely time you want to do it. You don't want to do it after the wing's tension, because there won't be very much room between the top of the keel and the sail, so you've got to do it now. So the hang block is pre-assembled, and we're going to just use a couple of 9/16 wrenches to remove these 4 bolts that hold the 2 halves together. You can go ahead and cut. So now we have the 2 halves separated. We're going to take our bushing halves and we're going to take our hang block halves. And this is really, really important that the bushing and the hang block halves go the correct way. So you have to have the little notched gear at the back. That's very, very important. And it doesn't matter if you know, it's this way or this way, but you want to make sure that the seam is vertical. Yeah. Okay. Now if you're getting any kind of excess binding, over tightening these stops will actually change the tube from round to oval. So you can see how easy this is moving now. It's a little sticky up here. I'm going to just go ahead and loosen this stop. They don't need to be tight. All they are is through bolts, and now you'll see this thing just about bounces back and forth, and that's what you want. Alright, and then it's very, very important that not only is the seam vertical, but you want to make sure that the hang bolt hole is at the back. Extremely important. You cannot run it at the front, and that will also put this little guy here lined up. So let me show you how that works in a second. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and put in our stopper, our keeper. Okay, and what that one does is stops this gear from being able to turn. If the seam is vertical, then there is no yaw put into the hang block itself. And you just want to think about which way the wing is going to set up, get the leading edge towards the sky. And we got to put the insert, the aluminum insert, in the eye bolt, and then putting this fitting over will keep it. And then you're going to go in from the top with the screw and get the nut on, and we'll tighten that. So now we have the down tubes attached to the new hang block. We're going to open the down tubes up a bit, and you got to be careful; they can kind of rotate. And we're going to put the control bar on and make up the A-frame. Okay. And we'll put a screw through from here. And we'll go ahead and tighten that up. If you have the new seesaw kit that you'll be installing, it should come just like this. And what we're going to do is install this on the keel first. Okay, so I have the haulback latch that I removed. And I'm going to get rid of the rear bolt, which is now too short, and I'm going to install just the front bolt through the front hole. And then this gets a plastic washer, and then this strap here actually goes on this bolt. So we loosen that up, and then we're going to tighten this back up again once we build the wing. And insert this next spacer. And now we're ready to install our seesaw kit. So no washers on this bolt. It goes right through everything. You put the 2 small plastic washers in, then this tang, and then the large nut goes on this, and we'll tighten it down. So here's my old cables that we took off the down tubes, and it can get to be quite a mess, but basically you want to try to take them apart and put them back on so that none of the cables are twisted. And you might have to do it a couple times, but basically the main thing is that we're getting rid of these rear cables altogether. So that's going away. And so now we need to attach the new rear cable, which is going to come forward in this orientation here to this, which is going to look like this. These rear cables go on first, then the front cable. The front cable pretty much doesn't matter right now because it can spin around freely. Put your 2 washers in for spacers and install. And tighten. Very important you don't over tighten these and you're able to get them into the correct position. And just snug is just fine. You don't have to tighten any of these bolts down at all. So make sure you have plenty of threads coming through and there's no play. Now we're ready to stand up. I've got the swan catch in my hand, or the cables that go to it. Stand it up. And I'm looking to make sure I don't have any binding happening. This all looks good. Alright, come on over here and hold this down tube for me. Check to make sure I don't have any binding over here. And I got lucky, this looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and install it on the swan catch itself. Just open the catch, put my bracket in. Now this is a little bit tight. It could have to do with your hang block being forward, so you want to move your hang block all the way aft to make the cables loose enough to be able to put in. Also, you'll notice that one of these cables is very loose. That has to do with the angle of the hang block. So if you square that up, now you'll see I have equal tension on the front cables. Now this one's not quite so loose. I'm going to spin our hand washer onto this. Get a safety pin in. Alright, now you almost need at least 1 friend, or 2 is better, but to get this onto the ground, I need you to rotate that one over. Go ahead. Keep bringing it around. Alright, great. We're going to walk the wings out.